much? Well, because of these storms that barreled through New York last night, you have city leaders that were concerned about the migrants that were living at the Floyd Bennett Field, about 5 miles from James Madison High School. So they said, you know what? We're worried the tents are going to collapse because of the rain and all the winds. Let's move them into James Madison High School on the 2nd floor into the gymnasium. Let's tell the kids, the students there, tomorrow, which is today, this morning, we're going to go remote. So they displaced 2,000 students at that school who don't come from the best economic situation. You're out, and we're going to move these migrants in.
That's right. The neighborhood that they transferred these migrants to is a minority location for the most part. For the kids who go to Madison High School, 63% come from economically disadvantaged homes, 52% are minorities. Taxpayer cost per student, and this is for every kid in New York City. Look at that. It costs $45,000 for every kid in New York City. What's interesting about the decision to go ahead and take, and you set it up perfectly, out at that former airstrip, that they have placed these tents, you know, rather than drive the tents into the ground with stakes, they can't because they're on a runway and they can't break the concrete. So what they did is they just used heavy stones and things like that. There was a storm on December the 18th, and apparently the wind gusts were up to 50 miles per hour, and bolts shook loose in the tents, and the migrants were horrified. And so that is why yesterday, exactly 24 hours from right now, Brian, the city said, all right, we're going to move them into this particular high school, and all those kids who go there normally will have to study remotely.
We have truly got to realize, man, that we have a bad problem in this country. We have the southern border wide open. And again, man, it's not that I'm not being compassionate. I am being compassionate. We have got to be compassionate to ourselves first. We cannot allow this country to fall apart the way it's falling apart. We can't. We have to take care of ourselves first. That's what we have to recognize, man. We have to take care of ourselves first. And places like New York and Chicago and stuff, again, their mayors complain. They complain, you know, like Mayor Eric Adams in New York and Brandon Johnson in Chicago. They complain. They say that Governor Greg Abbott in Texas is sending them too many people. And, you know, he's killing their cities. And no, I mean, the Democratic politicians, and quite honestly, man, the voters, they're killing their own city. That's what's happening. They're killing their own areas. And nobody else says, you guys are. That's what you're doing. And again, he's sending you a fraction of what they're getting right there at that southern border. They're sending them up, and they're hoping that you'll wake up to what's happening at that border and realize that we are killing ourselves. We are killing our own country. And they're hoping they'll wake up. And again, right, it seems like they're kind of waking up to a degree, but again, they're trying to pass the buck. They're trying to pass anger, you know, back on Governor Greg Abbott. But again, that's not what the problem is. The problem is the policies in this country. Again, I'm all for helping people, but legally, we have to do it the right way. And we can only help so many people before we start hurting ourselves. But guys, I'm going to show you a clip from Joe Biden back in, I think it was August of 2007. And Joe Biden is criticizing George W. Bush because George W. Bush was not securing, apparently, the southern border properly. Now, I remember when this, was going on, and he was criticizing, Bush, and he was saying that we can't have a country if we can't secure our border. But guys, watch this.
It makes sense that no great nation can be in a position where they can't control their borders. It matters how you control your borders, not just for immigration, but it matters for drugs, terror, a whole range of other things. So that's the first sort of truism. The second truism is that this nation is such that people in the country should have the first opportunity to be able to have jobs that pay well and have jobs that are decent, and that after that, the second crack goes to what we may need from other parts of the world or any other input. We have to. We have to. And I had been arguing for, when I'm back in my days as chairman of the Judiciary Committee and straight through as the leader of the Foreign Relations Committee, I've been arguing for the need to put more protection at our borders, meaning that you have more border guards. This president, refusing to add the number of border guards, now said he has to send the National Guard down. He vetoed. He was against adding the number of border guards. I only can suggest the reason he was is because he needed that money for his tax cuts that were unnecessary.
Guys, man, we got to recognize that Joe Biden, back, 15 years ago, 16, 17 years, he understood, that, yeah, we can't have open borders. We can't. And that will kill our country. It's not saying that we can't help people. But again, we have to do it the right way, and we have to help only a certain amount. Because again, man, that will kill us. But make no mistake, man, it's all political. They know what they're doing. I don't know if Joe Biden even knows what day it is. But the Democrats, they know exactly what they're doing. They do. And, again, they had the southern border wide open, and it's being done on purpose. Because again, man, we know for a fact that if they wanted that border closed, they could close it. But again, they don't. They don't want that border closed. I mean, again, even Democrats, they want the border closed up for the most part, and they understand, especially the ones living in New York and Chicago and stuff. They understand what's happening. And again, they're only getting a small fraction of the issue they're dealing with down there in Texas. But guys, I'm going to show you one last clip from Fox News.
In New York is Fox News' Nate Boy with the latest here on this big talker.
Parents are really upset with what's happening with their children, and specifically coming off the COVID learning experience. And we've seen the negative effects with the test scores, and a lot of parents are concerned that their children are being left behind. But I'll start with the newest information, and that is that students will be back in person in school at James Madison High School in Brooklyn tomorrow, but that's not the case today. They're learning remotely, although a lot of parents say that they believe their kids are just on TikTok. A lot of parents have said that teachers aren't even showing up for these online classes. So they say that remote learning is just a euphemism for no learning at all. And you mentioned this is all happening because the city is out of space to put illegal migrants who crossed our southern border. Take a look at this video. Nearly 2,000 of them were staying at a nearby tent facility, but they had to be moved because of strong winds and rain that brought some security risk at that tent facility. So they moved in last night. The school notified the parents of the 3,600 students that go to James Madison High School here in Brooklyn. Take a look at this statement from the city. They wrote, quote, "The health and safety of migrants in our care is always a top priority, which is why we are currently overseeing the relocation of 1,900 guests from the Humanitarian Emergency Response and Relief Center at Floyd Bennett Field."
We have to be compassionate, yes, to other people, but we first need to be compassionate to ourselves, to our fellow countrymen and women. And again, man, we have to put ourselves first. I mean, help so many people the right way, sure. But after that, we have to stop. We have to shut that border up. We have to say, look, man, the only way we're going to keep the integrity of this country is by doing things the right way, helping only so many people. Because again, what they're doing right now, like Trump said, these people are coming from shithole countries. And they are. I mean, again, man, they're coming from economically depressed areas. And they're not going to add to things. They're going to take away. That's kind of like building a ghetto next to a nice neighborhood. Again, that's going to bring the value down. That's going to bring the whole area down. We have to recognize that. Man, I mean, again, I'm not being mean. I know it's not popular to say. But a lot of these people, they're coming from bad areas. And again, they have that same mindset from those areas they're bringing into this country. So again, they're not going to add to things. I'm not saying all, but most, they're not going to add to it. They're going to take away from it. We have to recognize that. I mean, again, guys, man, thing is, we have to be compassionate to ourselves first, to our families, to our kids, to fellow countrymen and women. We have to truly be compassionate. We have to protect our way of life. And again, man, I'm not saying we shouldn't help people. Of course. But we have to do it the right way. We have to do it in such a way that we do not destroy our own country. But guys, man, if you would, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. Thanks.
You son of a